Hey guys, welcome to the Wraith Lord's Horde. I'm John Bittman, and today is my very first episode. Thank you for joining me today. So, what I'm going to do is, since I haven't really had a chance to film a video, I'm going to be making a slideshow and narrating as I go. So, in this slideshow, I'm going to be going over all the steps and processes that I did to make a full conversion of a Tau Devilfish. I made two of them, so stick around and see all the mishaps and the learning experiences along the way. Okay, so the first thing I did was I bought a whole army of Tau online, secondhand. They were already painted with two different types of paint jobs. This was the first main type of paint job, and then there was another camo kind of tan version. So what we're going to make is an open concept Tau Devilfish. The first thing you're going to need to do is get a Dremel and a knife and some sanding wheels and all the bits you have for your Dremel, because you're going to need them. What I did is I cut off the cockpit. I kind of followed the panel lines as best as I could, made my lines straight, so cut slow, take your time, clean it off with a knife, clean it off with the side Dremel wheel, not the cutoff wheel, but the sanding wheel barrels, and cut the whole thing out. Even that little box that has the landing gear in the front, that's got to be shaved down too. You'll see why later. Once I got that piece cut out and cleaned up, I gave it a quick sand down. I also tried to scrub as much of the old paint off as I could, because it was on there pretty thick in some spots. It looked like it was just a mostly black undercoat, which that was fine for the build because it kind of gave it a rugged look while I was making it. But you want to get the very front tip, as flush as possible to that swivel point of the cannon on front. I mean like a millimeter or less. And you have to do it very carefully and not break it. And I really stress the not break it part, because I broke it and my Dremel slipped, and I ended up putting a huge gouge in the part that holds the drone on the side. And I didn't like how I was trying to patch it up. I could still see it. It went through panel lines. So I ruined it. I was going to just make a terrain piece with a crashed devilfish, but I opted to give the parts to my friend Dave. Yeah, that was the first mishap, and it was a little discouraging. So I took the Forge World Piranha. That's with the top canopy on it like that. They were expensive. I bought them on AliExpress though, so they were about 20 bucks each, which I bought three. And I also have three of the Games Workshop Piranhas. So I did Piranha conversions with all the parts like combined, and I have a really cool version that you'll see at the end of this video. But what I needed for these is the top. This part, which is in the back of the top canopy, that's going to be used as our seat. You're going to need to take that sanding wheel and you have to Dremel it out all the way, like really, really deep, because I don't have any pilots, so I had to make pilots out of Fire Warriors, and they don't sit very well. So I kind of had to do some kit bashing and converting. Trim all this stuff off, and let's make a seat out of it. There you go. But that wasn't even enough. That I had to trim it way more than that, almost so that the front of it was sloped flush, because I could bend the pilot's legs as much as I could with a Dremel, but in the end, it still he looked like he was stiff, like leaning back in a chair. So I had to Dremel the floor of the chair out in a slope so that he's just kind of almost standing in a brace. But it looks like he's sitting when it's done. You don't actually see his legs. There he is. You can tell how I cut the waist and made it so his legs are just leaning forward as much as I can. I tried to make him sitting, but there's only so much you can do with Fire Warriors. I went ahead and made another one because I'm making two of these conversions, and every part of it I had to do two of. So I was very careful with the second one not to break it. And because I broke one, I wanted three because I wanted a hammerhead as well. I needed to buy another devilfish, which you'll see soon. But in the background there, you can see that I've already cut the canopy out, and I'll show you what I did to get that curve in them. I had to boil some water and put uh, put the pieces into the boiling water, like on the stove in a pot, bubbling and boiling for at least 30 seconds each, and carefully bend them a little bit at a time, and keep submerging, bending over and over until you get a nice curve. You want to kind of dry fit it to the piece where it's going, just to get the curve to match up with the top of the devilfish. So that guy's looking through a little viewfinder there. Probably looking at like slides of, I don't know, marine land or something. So, what I've done with the thrusters, you can see on the brand new one in the back there and the white one here, is I've reversed the side that they're on and inverted them sideways, facing downward, and I put the little back thruster from the piranhas on top of the bigger thruster from the devilfish. And by doing that, I think it gave it a much more aggressive and streamlined looking profile. Now these things look like speeding APCs as they zip across a field like hover tanks, like they should. So I cut a little half circle sort of inset of the panel lining that's at the top near the back there. And when you get that right curve, that little piece is just going to glue onto a little lip that we left on the top of the canopy of the devilfish. Just super glue. The resin holds really well. You can see the piranhas in the back there. You'll have better shots of them later. But the blue one, that's like the final paint scheme, what it's going to be. So as you can see, I had to trim the seat more, like quite a bit more, and that whole panel that the landing gear goes in had to be pretty much cut down flush, because that's the only way that I could get the seat low enough so that I could put a fire warrior in it, and his head wasn't preventing me from putting the top on. It took a lot of effort to try to sand inside the cut that I made, because the Dremel only reaches so much. I think I ended up using a file for it. And you can see one of the piranha kits I didn't cut up, because the third devilfish is going to be a hammerhead, and I'm not doing that one as an open cockpit because I felt that the muzzle flash would just be too much and it would destroy the pilots inside. I mean, even though I got some flack from the internet about the open cockpit on the APC part, because it's people are saying that it's fire damage and everything, and the pilots are exposed and they just get shot. But we're playing with house rules, so we're just having fun and making cool models on the board. And I think that with that profile of the thrusters, it definitely fits into the rule of cool, if you know what I mean. Yeah, this thing, the I don't have any gun drones for it, so I had to actually make a bunch of those. But I ended up buying a whole kit of gun drones anyway from Forge World. So with the pilot in place, his head was low enough, I could put the top on. I wanted, it's better to have the hole that it's going into to be a little snug, because if it's too much space, then you're going to have a huge gap to fill. The way that I have it here, there's barely any gap at all. I almost didn't even need to use filler. If I just painted it, I think the paint would have probably worked as a filler. It's kind of dusty in the picture because I was doing a lot of dremeling and the dust gets everywhere. Plus I sanded it a bit. Okay, I opt to put a burst cannon on the front instead of rangefinders or marker lights because I just like firepower on my ships. That pilot is looking pretty exposed right now. He's like, hurry up and put the cover on here, I'm getting shot at. It's like sardines in a can. Yeah, so the one that I destroyed, it was beyond repair. It was such a huge gash right across the whole front. There it is in place. I think in this picture I've already had filler put into the seam, but you barely can see it. It's such a like snug fit. I did have to shave a little bit of that piece off because there was a bit of a outcropping on the side of it. So with that done, it looks it looks very clean, and I'm happy with the results. It looks like it was meant to fit there, and that's the idea I was going for. So now you can kind of see in that picture didn't have the best angle. This is the good angle. Like look at the bulkiness of the front. How it's kind of like a vulture's beak sort of a thing. Like it just swoops up and it's way more streamlined and fast and beefy looking. Even though it's still the same small little devilfish that everybody has, but I just hate cookie cutter models. I need to change something about them. That's a good angle too. Yeah, you can definitely see that this is a much more bulkier profile, but also streamlined. Putting it on, I had to kind of do a little bit of trimming and shaving, and just to make it look more streamlined and fit with the curvature of a devilfish. But in the end, that's just Dremel work. It's part of kit bashing, and the result was well worth it. I don't really mind that I can't change the thruster angles. Some people on the internet were complaining about that. I wanted to have that open so that I could put some batteries inside of it and have LED lights throughout. But the person I bought it from, he used plastic glue and it is welded shut. I couldn't get that open without breaking it. So I just opted to leave them shut and I glued the one that I bought shut as well. There's no point having just one of them with LEDs and not the other two. I'll just do a glow effect with my airbrush. Hopefully. I've never done one before. But how hard can it be? Yeah, I really like the conversion with the thrusters down. I think it looks better than having them just sticking off the side and spinning around freely and loose. That it just makes the whole difference. The open cockpit would still look good even with just the thrusters, even if it wasn't open cockpit. But the cockpit makes it a really cool looking vehicle. And I hope a lot of other people do this conversion too because it was very rewarding. You can see the one in the middle doesn't have that, so that's just base like out of the box. The only thing I did was just change the thrusters like the other one. And I bought the twin ion cannons as the turret from Forge World. Yeah, I know, I spent a lot of money on these things. The paint really came off of that beige one pretty well. Like I gave it a scrub with some soapy water and a scrubber, and that stripped it pretty much right down to the base. That's a nice shot of the three of them. Like, can you just imagine that on the board? This was a very, very great conversion. I'm very happy with it. And in the back there, you can see one more shot of the piranha. Now, I think the next slide's going to have all of them in film, the piranhas as well in front. There they are. So that's going to be the final paint scheme of all of them. They're all going to look like that, except the panel lining is going to be cleaner. I used too thick of a wash to try to fill in the panel lining. So I'm just going to, I actually have oil paints now, and I'm going to try an oil paint wash with white spirits. That seems to work a lot better. I saw a lot of tutorials on that with other YouTube channels. But yeah, those piranhas are made with both parts from the Forge World and Games Workshop piranha. So that's a whole fleet of awesome vehicles. My Tau army is complete. Actually, it's not, because like any hobbyist, I went out and bought some extra models after I even primed all my models that I had. So now I have to prime those and try to match it and get them back into the army. Just, I couldn't help myself. But yeah, I'm actually going to make another video with one of the models that I added because it's completely custom. So here I've primed them in blue. It's called Iris Blue, and it's a bit of a dark, like pale kind of blue, and I really love that color. And when you do the next step, which is with a lighter blue color, but what I did on the lighter blue color is I just very lightly press the trigger, just enough so that it starts spitting out like model or splattering of little droplets of the lighter blue color. It gives it a nice marbled look to it, like kind of like you would see on another planet or an alien material, if you would. It's not even. It just seems to fit my Tau very well, and I've made a lot of custom droids, as you can see there. Here's a close-up of the mottling effect. Yeah, it looks really good. And the cockpits that I added, they just seamless. They fit like a glove. Yeah. Yeah, you hold the spray can, like Krylon sprayer, just further away, and you just lightly dust it with the trigger barely pressed. You want it to kind of have a few little bigger splotches like that because it just gives it more, it just draws the eye around the model. Just a couple extra shots. There's the next film, or the next frame, I believe, is my entire army minus the models that I just added and brought after the fact, which I was too impatient and I primed it before I was completely done. So yeah, that's now I can't find the same paint can, so I've been looking in stores everywhere. There, I've added the gun drones. Those are the Forge World gun drones. I like those ones the best. I think they're I think any other brand is better than the Games Workshop brand, to be honest. They just don't model as well. But there it is. That's the full army with the piranha in the middle as the main paint scheme. So house. I don't remember the set, but that is the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was actually my first attempt at making a YouTube channel video. I hope to have some more content soon because I've just got a camera now and I just need to pick up a SD card for it. I thought it was going to come with one, but it didn't. Anyway, this is all for my video right now. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the slideshow and it's a little slow paced and boring, but I think the content of the slides is enough to keep people interested for this model. And then I'm working on actually filming like videos for tutorials and things coming forward. So don't forget to like and subscribe my channel.